Longtime fan favorite David Morgan catching up with me here at the VRIC Day 2. Welcome back to the show, David.
Well, Danielle, it's always a pleasure. Thank you.
Yes, well, you are the silver guru, so obviously we're going to talk silver. But I thought we'd start with your thoughts on the U.S. economy. Numbers keep coming out that, really paint a rosy picture. U.S. stock market showing no signs of slowing down. Is it as good as it seems?
No. I do a weekly perspective podcast every week, and I bring in the factual realm all the stuff that shows a slowdown in a global economy as well as the U.S. economy. Now, there are pockets in the U.S. economy that look good, but the metrics are skewed. The way they account for things are not factual. If you go to shadowstats.com as an example and look at the 1980 metrics, it's a whole different picture than what we're told on the financial propaganda for the most part.
So that said, how does that translate into the precious metals front? Is that good news for gold and silver if we're not getting the right numbers and if the economy is not as good as it seems? Will people eventually flow back into the safe havens here?
Absolutely. There's going to be disruptions in the food chain. We have major problems of the food production on a global basis. And the one thing Americans are cognizant of is higher energy or higher food prices. And by the way, both energy and food are taken out of the CPI index. Why is that? So we're going to see more of a move to safe haven status. And I think the major fact will be the stock market, the equity market.
Okay, but if we have, I've had people write in saying they're concerned that should there be a Democratic win in November, that could really do damage to the U.S. stock market. That would be the bubble bursting. Do you agree with that?
I think it would have a pretty big influence, yes.
Okay. So who do you think takes the election then?
I'm the worst picker on that, believe me. I was asked in Canada before the Trump election, what would it mean if he won?
Yeah.
And my answer was, it's like trading the deck chairs on the Titanic. What I said was, in the big picture, it wouldn't have a lot of meaning, but in a small picture, it'll be huge because the song by the band will be more lively. Yeah. There will be more people dancing and there'll be more jobs, but it's really not going to change the overall structural problem on the global basis, which is printing money and getting nothing out of it.
We've seen how sensitive the gold price has been to news, but how much of it has to do with gold remaining above 1550 with the Fed repo crisis that we're really not talking enough about here?
Yeah, it's major. I mean, I've been saying for 6 years, once we get above 1350 gold, we're on our way, and we've done that. Now the 1550 level was resistance, now becomes support. With support there, I'm looking for at least a 20% move in gold this year, which forecasts like $1,800 gold or so.
So you believe the gold story, what we're seeing, the confidence is there. It's not just these small rallies and then we're going to come back down?
Yeah, all markets are up and down, but no, we're in the start of the next major move up. You're going to get confirmation this year, in my view, and you're not going to see the huge parabolic move that we saw in 2011 for silver and September the same year for gold, probably until 2022, 2023. But that doesn't mean that you can't get in now and do quite well and just have some patience.
Well, gold investors are celebrating. Platinum investors are celebrating. Palladium investors are really throwing a big party. Rhodium, forget about it. Silver guys are saying, hey,
what about me?
What about me? When's my time?
Yeah. Well, it's taken gold to lift silver up this time, and I think that will continue. But once the momentum starts, and I say once silver gets to 2022 probably, you'll see a lot more people come back into the silver market. Silver, like a lot of markets, but particularly silver, people are really happy to buy it at 25, but they don't want it at 18.
Interesting. So you're still bullish silver.
I am.
So you think this is a buying opportunity at these price levels?
Yeah, whenever you can buy any commodity, sure.
I had Robert Kiyosaki on last week, who's a longtime gold bull, as we all know, but he was saying, look, it'd be a no-brainer not to be getting into silver here.
Exactly. Well, my lecture was on what if silver was treated like gold, And the whole thing revolved around not only the linguistics about, good as gold, gold standard, and scrap silver and junk bags, which have a very opposite connotation, but also when silver and gold were treated as the same thing, M-O-N-E-Y, money, for over 4,500 years, the gold-silver ratio never got above about 16. So when silver is money, it's the most valuable. It's only when it was demonetized in 1873 and it wasn't money anymore that you got these 100-to-1 ratio type things.
And you know what's interesting, David? We ran our Mining CEO of the Year, and Keith Neumeyer won the award. Eric Fear came in a tight second place. But if I look down the list, all the top not nominees, but the ones who made the top of the list were all silver mining CEOs, not the gold mining CEOs. What does that say about the space? They're just better cheerleaders, or
maybe it's the underdog metal. I don't know. What I do know is that you get a better return on silver than you do on gold most of the time in a bull market, especially even on the stocks. At the top of the market, a good silver producer will trade at 50 times earnings. A good gold producer 30 to 35. Why is that? I don't know. But silver has got some attraction when it's in a bull market that gold doesn't have.
Finally, we're here at the VRIC, tons of mining companies. I asked Brett Cook this question. I want to ask you, one out of how many do you feel are really stellar deposits, stellar stories?
Not that many.
He said 1 out of 10, and I thought, wow, that's pretty good ratio coming from Brett.
I'd say more like 1 out of 50.
Wow, so you're bullish to metals, but why isn't that translating into confidence for these mining stories?
Because you have to be economic, and a lot of them are great stories, but they're really not economic. Now that can change in two ways. One, that the discovery can be better grades found on that discovery, which is very unlikely, or the price of silver doubles or triples. Then those deposits that are good stories now do become economic, and it is viable, and then it does go to 1 out of 10 or whatever.
Interesting. Any new names that are
I'm going to be writing a couple in the report, the paid version, because there's one in particular I just spoke with that has, I don't like to say it, but unbelievable grades. And you're going to have 3 meters or whatever of super high grade, but that's all you find. That's not the case here. So it's a pretty interesting story. I'll be writing about it soon.
All right. Well, we'll watch out for that in your newsletter. David Morgan, thank you so much for joining us.
My
Come
pleasure.
by more often. And thank you for watching. We'll have much more for you on Kitco.com.